Tonight's stories come from the same place most modern horror does: a screen, a username, a stranger who found you before you found them. These aren't stories about the dark woods or an empty road. The threat here lives where you live. It breathes where you breathe. The third story, I want to warn you about the third story. Not because of what the stranger does. Because of what the person telling it realizes, in the last 30 seconds, about how long it had already been happening. Stay with me. The account with my father's name. My dad passed in March of 2019. Pancreatic cancer. Fast and ugly, the way it usually is with that one. By August, I was back in our family home in Bloomington, Indiana, dealing with his estate, sorting through a house that still smelled like him, still had his reading glasses on the kitchen counter where he'd left them. I wasn't sleeping well. That's relevant. I downloaded one of those grief support apps, I won't name it, but it was legitimate, had been featured in a few mental health publications. You could post anonymously, or you could join small group threads. I used it mostly to read. Sometimes just knowing other people were awake at 2 a.m. with the same hollow feeling was enough. About 3 weeks in, I got a direct message. The username was Gerald K. Pruitt 47. My father's name was Gerald Kenneth Pruitt. He was born in 1947. I sat with that for a long time. I told myself it was a coincidence. Common enough name. The 47 probably meant something else, a birth year for someone else, a jersey number, anything. I almost convinced myself. Then I opened the message. It said, "You left his glasses on the counter. He would have wanted you to put them away." I stood up from the couch so fast I knocked my coffee onto the carpet. I walked to the front door and checked the lock. I checked the back door. I stood in the kitchen and looked at the glasses, and I did not move for probably 4 minutes. I called my sister in Columbus. She didn't answer. I called my mom, who was staying with her sister in Toyota. She answered on the third ring, half asleep. I didn't tell her about the message. I don't know why. I just said I missed her. She said she missed me too. I reported the account to the app. They removed it within 24 hours and sent me a form email about their safety policy. I wrote back asking if they could tell me anything about the account, when it was created, any identifying information. They said they couldn't share that. I asked one thing. Just one. I asked if the account had been created before or after my father died. They never responded to that one. I put the glasses in the drawer that same night. I don't know if that matters. I just couldn't leave them out anymore. Some people go looking for connection in the hardest moments of their lives, and something else finds them first. Moderator. I ran a true crime discussion forum for about 4 years, nothing huge, maybe 1,800 active members at its peak. I'm based in Tucson, Arizona, and I'd started it as a hobby after losing my job during the 2020 layoffs. It gave me something to do. Somewhere to be. Most of the community was normal. People debating cold cases, sharing documents, the usual. But forums like that attract a certain kind of obsessive. You learn to spot them. They post too much, too fast. They get angry when their theories are challenged. They send long private messages at odd hours. In January of 2022, a new user registered. Handle was watching casework. At first, nothing unusual. They commented on a few threads, nothing inflammatory. But after about 2 weeks, I started noticing a pattern. Every thread where a member had posted their general location, even something vague like "I'm from the Pacific Northwest" or "here in the Midwest, watching casework," would respond. Casually. just saying something relevant to the case being discussed. But the replies were always the last thing they posted before going quiet for a few days. I almost missed it. Almost. Then one of our longtime members, a woman who posted under the name Delphi88, sent me a private message. She said Watching Casework had messaged her directly. Had asked what part of Sacramento she lived in. She'd never mentioned Sacramento. Not on the forum. Not anywhere I could find. I pulled the account's activity log. In 14 months, because I went back and found the account had been active under a previous username, one I'd never flagged, Watching Casework had interacted with 61 members. 61. I cross-referenced the ones who had ever shared any personal detail, even indirect ones. 53 of the 61 had. I banned the account and sent a warning to the community. 3 members wrote back to say they'd already been contacted privately. One of them said the messages had stopped when she moved. The others didn't say that. I shut the forum down 2 weeks later. I told people it was burnout. That was partially true. I still think about the 8 members whose details I couldn't find in the logs. The ones Watching Casework had messaged but who never responded to my warning. I don't know if they didn't see it, or if they just didn't feel like they could respond anymore. The next story doesn't involve a threat that announces itself, it involves one that was patient. He sent the photo on a Tuesday. I was living alone in a 1-bedroom apartment in Cary, North Carolina, working remotely as a technical writer. This was the fall of 2021, October, I think, because I remember the air had just started to turn and I'd left my bedroom window cracked for the first time since summer. I'd been using a language exchange app. You get paired with people learning English, you help them practice, they help you with whatever language you're studying. I was half-heartedly working on my Spanish. It was social more than anything. Something to fill the quiet evenings. I got paired with a man, I'll call Emil. His English was actually very good. Better than the app suggested. We messaged a few times a week, nothing personal, mostly vocabulary, sometimes current events. He was polite. Formal, even. Sometime in mid-October, the messages shifted. It was subtle. He started responding faster. Started asking small personal questions, not invasive ones, just whether I preferred mornings or evenings, whether I cooked or ordered in. I answered. I didn't think much of it. It felt like conversation. Then one Tuesday evening, around 9 p.m., he sent a photograph. It was a street. A residential street at night, lit by a single streetlight. The image was slightly blurry, taken from a distance or through glass. There was a building in the frame, brick, 2 stories, exterior stairs on the right side. He wrote, "This is near where I am staying. Beautiful at night, yes." I looked at the photo for a while. Then I looked up from my phone. I looked at my window. The window I had left cracked. I recognized the exterior stairs. The brick. The angle of the streetlight. It was the building across from mine. My building, from across the street. Shot from below and to the left, which would have put the photographer roughly level with the parking lot, maybe 40 feet from my front entrance. My bedroom light was on in the photo. You could see the window was cracked. I closed the app. I closed and locked the window. I turned off the light and sat in the dark for a long time, listening to the parking lot outside. I reported the account the next morning. The app confirmed they'd suspended it. I asked how long Emil's account had been active. For months, they told me. I'd only been matched with him for 3 weeks. I still don't know who he was talking to before me. Whether it was someone in my building. Whether the photo was a message or just a mistake, a wrong attachment, a thoughtless share. I closed my windows for the rest of the fall. I still don't leave them cracked at night. I don't think I will again. 3 people. 3 screens. 3 strangers who knew more than they should have. What stays with me, what always stays with me, is the gap between what was reported and what was answered. The questions that got ignored. The accounts that were removed without explanation. Someone built those accounts. Someone took that photograph. Tonight I want to ask you something specific. Have you ever received a message from someone online that felt like they already knew where you were? Leave it in the comments. I read them. New stories arrive every week. Subscribe if you want them. And maybe, just maybe, check which windows you've left open tonight.